They watch you. They study your movements, your silence, your pauses, your reactions. They search for clues to understand you, to decode the patterns of your behavior, to predict what you will do next. But what they never realize is that the more they observe, the less they truly see. The mysterious person is not the one who hides in darkness, but the one who walks in full light while revealing nothing essential. Mystery is not concealment, it is control. It is the art of letting others see you without ever letting them reach you. The world today rewards exposure, constant display, and endless explanation. Yet every revelation weakens your image. Every detail you expose feeds the illusion of familiarity, and familiarity breeds contempt. To stay mysterious when the eyes of others are fixed upon you, you must master the paradox of visibility. You must appear open, yet remain unreadable. You must learn to perform transparency without surrendering truth. True mystery begins when you become fully conscious of what others seek from you. Reaction, validation, access. They want to read your emotions to feel superior, to confirm that they affect you. They want to know your motives so they can predict and control you. When you understand this hunger for information, you can start controlling the diet. You feed them silence, calm, small gestures that mean everything and nothing at the same time. You let them project, interpret, and assume, while you remain centered, detached, untouched. This is the invisible strategy that the powerful use to protect their essence. A mysterious person is not someone who hides, but someone who moves differently, someone whose rhythm is unpredictable, whose emotional temperature never aligns with others. You answer when least expected. You disappear without warning. You return unchanged. You give fragments of yourself, never the full story, because power is preserved by incompleteness. When they think they know you, they stop respecting you. When they think they can read you, they stop fearing you. And when they stop fearing you, they start taking you for granted. The mysterious individual never allows that. You must make peace with being misunderstood. That is the first law of mystery. You will be accused of arrogance, coldness, even cruelty. Let them talk, let them define you wrongly. Every word they say about you reveals more about them than about you. Their curiosity is your mirror. The louder it gets, the more control you have. The truly mysterious man or woman moves in a different frequency, emotionally restrained, yet magnetically present. People sense depth in you, but they cannot access it. They feel attraction, but it burns them with uncertainty. They want to get closer, but something in your silence keeps them cautious. You have to maintain this tension like a quiet storm within you. Calm outside, powerful inside. The mistake most make is believing that mystery is something you build externally, through manipulation or drama. It is not. It is a state of mind rooted in emotional independence. When you no longer need approval, when you no longer chase validation, you start emitting an energy that others cannot categorize. You become an enigma, not because you try to, but because you no longer play their game. The modern world has conditioned people to reveal everything, every thought, every emotion, every reaction. They post, they confess, they overshare. They fear being forgotten more than being understood. That is why they have no mystery, no gravity. They have replaced depth with noise. To remain mysterious in this age of exposure, you must reclaim your inner world as sacred territory. Every emotion you feel, every thought you form, you decide who earns the right to access it. You do not broadcast it, you observe it, master it, and if necessary, weaponize it. Because when you control your emotional output, you control perception. When others cannot easily read you, they begin to respect you, not out of kindness, but out of uncertainty. And uncertainty is the soil where fascination grows. Think of how people are drawn to what they cannot define. They want to understand the person who remains composed under pressure, who listens more than speaks, who looks but doesn't react. They are drawn to your silence because it makes them question their own noise. To stay mysterious when being watched, you must reverse the gaze, observe them instead. When they talk, you study. When they ask, you listen but do not reveal. You turn their curiosity into your shield. They think they are studying you, but in truth, you are learning how they think. Every question they ask gives away their insecurity. Every attempt to provoke you shows their hunger for control. By maintaining your composure, you reveal their emotional instability. By saying less, you make their words heavier. By showing less, you make your presence stronger. The mysterious person is not detached from the world. They are deeply aware of it. You must know the psychology of attention. Humans are addicted to feedback loops. They say something. They want a reaction. They provoke. They expect emotion. When you break this loop, you short-circuit their power. The less you react, the more they collapse into confusion. They start doubting themselves. They start imagining your thoughts. Their imagination becomes your camouflage. The mysterious person does not compete for attention. Attention comes naturally because others cannot locate their emotional coordinates. To maintain mystery, you must be disciplined with your exposure. You do not post for validation. You do not explain your motives. You do not justify your silence. You allow time to speak for you. You allow results, actions, and presence to become your language. The more you say, the less they believe. The less you say, the more they imagine. And imagination is more powerful than reality. Every strategist, every leader, every seducer in history understood this. Control is not in what you reveal, but in what you withhold. Mystery keeps people orbiting around you because they are trapped between desire and doubt. They feel your gravity but cannot touch the source. To sustain that energy, you must learn emotional discipline. You must learn to walk through attention without absorbing it. Praise or criticism, both are attempts to define you. Accept neither. Remain undefined. Your mystery is in your resistance to interpretation. When they praise you, they are trying to domesticate you. When they criticize you, they are trying to destabilize you. In both cases, your power is in non-reaction. A mysterious person never denies, never confirms, never explains. They allow ambiguity to serve as armor, because in a world that demands certainty, ambiguity becomes intimidating. It creates space for imagination, and imagination always exaggerates. People imagine you as greater, stronger, colder, deeper than you are, and that exaggeration becomes your advantage. But to sustain it, you must remain emotionally consistent. You cannot seek revenge, validation, or pity. You must master your inner stillness until it becomes a silent statement of strength. In the art of power, visibility without vulnerability is the highest form of control. You let them see your surface, but your core remains untouched. You walk into rooms without announcing yourself, yet everyone feels your presence. You speak rarely, but when you do, your words echo. You disappear for days or weeks, and when you return, you are unchanged. That is what terrifies them, your stillness, your emotional sovereignty. They cannot locate your weaknesses, and humans fear what they cannot define. So they chase, they question, they gossip, all in vain. You must let them talk, because the more they talk, the less you have to. Let them speculate, because their assumptions will contradict each other. Let them project, because their projections become your camouflage. Mystery is not about what you hide, it's about what they fail to perceive. You move in simplicity, yet they see complexity. You act with calm, yet they see calculation. You detach, yet they see strategy. Everything becomes amplified because your silence magnifies meaning. You can use this in every area of life. Relationships, work, leadership, attraction. When people cannot predict you, they cannot control you. When they cannot control you, they respect you. When they respect you, they seek your presence. And when they seek your presence, you regain power over the dynamic. The key is not to isolate yourself, but to engage selectively. You let people close enough to feel your warmth, but never close enough to read your fire. You maintain a rhythm of distance, appear, vanish, reappear, until your absence becomes as meaningful as your presence. That rhythm creates addiction. They start waiting for your responses, your appearance, your validation. They start revolving around your silence. You control time itself because you control the pace of connection. Never underestimate that power. The ability to remain calm while being watched is the mark of inner mastery. Everyone performs under observation. They adjust, exaggerate, defend. You, however, remain the same. You treat attention as air, invisible, irrelevant. You move as if no one is watching, because in truth, you are not performing. You are existing, and existence without performance is rare, magnetic, unforgettable. That is how you remain mysterious even when the whole world is looking. You do not hide. You transcend visibility. You turn the gaze of others into your stage, but you dictate the script. In that silence, in that composure, in that refusal to be fully understood, lies the kind of power that cannot be taken, only sensed. Mystery begins to erode the moment you start defending it. The more you explain, the less they believe. The more you justify, the smaller you become in their perception. When people sense mystery, they instinctively try to define it. They poke, question, provoke, analyze, not because they want to understand you, but because understanding gives them comfort. Humans fear the unknown. When you remain undefined, you become their psychological discomfort, a mirror reflecting their confusion. And yet, this is where your power lies. The more you disturb their sense of clarity, the more magnetic you become. Because mystery, in its purest form, is not a trick, it's emotional sovereignty. It's the refusal to be shaped by external curiosity. It's the strength to live without the need to be fully understood. To stay mysterious under observation, you must internalize one truth. Perception is never neutral. People are not watching you to admire your authenticity. They are watching to categorize you. They want to know which box you fit into, what motivates you, what triggers you. They look for patterns to feel safe in their assumptions. So give them fragments that mislead. Not lies, but controlled truths. Truths that reveal nothing about your depth. Let them think they have discovered something about you, when in fact they have only seen a reflection of their own interpretation. This is what makes true mystery impenetrable. It adapts. You evolve faster than their understanding. They try to decode one version of you, but by the time they think they've succeeded, you've already become someone else. You are never stagnant. You never defend an image. You let it shift, breathe, and grow, without explanation. The mysterious person allows people to project identities onto them, without correction. If they see you as distant, you allow it. If they see you as kind, you allow it. If they see you as arrogant, you allow it. Because you know their labels are not about you, they are confessions of their own perception. Mystery is not silence alone. It is the art of selective revelation. It's knowing what to hide and what to reveal to strengthen your aura. Sometimes, you reveal something intentionally to deepen the illusion. You share a small vulnerability, not to connect, but to distract. You create the sense of closeness while concealing what truly matters. You make them feel they've earned your trust, yet what you share is harmless, a decoy. Because mystery thrives on controlled intimacy. People must feel they are close, but never arrive. They must sense warmth, but never touch the flame. The moment they believe they fully know you, your power diminishes. Familiarity is the death of fascination. The key is emotional distance disguised as openness. You smile, you engage, you respond, but always within visible boundaries. You are present, but untouchable. You show interest, but reveal little. You express calm, but never full emotion. The mysterious person lives behind a psychological veil, visible yet unreachable. That veil is woven with restraint, patience, and self-awareness. It requires mastering the timing of absence. Too much distance and you fade, too much presence and you lose power. Mystery is balance, a rhythm of appearing and retreating, revealing and concealing, speaking and staying silent. You must make your absence speak louder than your words. When you disappear, people should feel the echo of your presence. That echo is what keeps you alive in their minds. They wonder where you went, what you're thinking, what you're doing. And that curiosity becomes energy. Energy that feeds your significance. People are drawn not to what they know, but to what they can't quite grasp. Mystery is a psychological loop that never closes. You keep them searching, guessing, desiring clarity that never comes. You control the rhythm of revelation. But remember, mystery is not manipulation for its own sake. It is self-preservation in a world that consumes authenticity as entertainment. When everyone is trying to be seen, the one who withholds becomes sacred. To remain mysterious while being watched, you must detach from the need to perform. The performer seeks applause. The mysterious person seeks nothing. You move with purpose, not performance. You speak only when the silence would be misinterpreted. You withdraw when presence would dilute your value. You do not chase moments. You create them by restraint. The more the world demands your exposure, the quieter you become. Your silence becomes your rebellion. Your stillness becomes your power. Because attention is not control. Control is what you do with attention. If they watch you, let them. If they analyze you, let them. They are burning energy, trying to understand something that was never meant to be explained. Your stillness drains their curiosity. It forces them into reflection. They begin to realize that your silence mirrors their own emptiness. They project meaning where none exists, and that projection becomes their emotional trap. You don't have to hide to remain mysterious. You just have to remain unresponsive to external pressure. When people demand clarity, you give calm. When they provoke reaction, you give stillness. When they seek explanation, you give absence. And when they finally give up trying to define you, you become unforgettable. Because mystery doesn't end when curiosity fades, it begins there. Once people stop trying to understand you, they begin to feel you. They start perceiving your energy rather than your words. They begin to notice your silence as something deeper than indifference, as awareness, as confidence, as control. Every movement you make becomes intentional, every word weighted. They start looking for meaning in your pauses, in your eyes, in your timing. And because you never rush to fill space, your presence becomes an experience. The mysterious person doesn't seek power through dominance, they gain it through restraint. You become untouchable not because you fight for respect, but because you move with the calm of someone who already possesses it. You radiate the quiet certainty of someone who does not need validation. That is the energy people mistake for mystery. It is, in truth, self-sufficiency. The more centered you are, the more others orbit around you. Their emotions revolve around your stillness. They start mirroring your rhythm. You slow down, they slow down. You detach, they chase. You vanish, they think. The world of noise cannot understand stillness, and that misunderstanding becomes your advantage. The more they watch you, the more they expose their lack of control. You remain the constant, the observer behind the curtain. Even when eyes are on you, your power lies in invisibility of intention. You are there, yet not fully present. You participate, yet remain detached. That is what confuses them. Your ability to exist without seeking recognition. The mystery lies not in what you hide, but in how little you need. You are not desperate for attention, validation, or acceptance. You stand in quiet confidence, unbothered by who misunderstands you. That is why people can't stop thinking about you. You refuse to play the emotional game, and yet you win it effortlessly. The secret is in emotional economy. You spend your energy wisely. You don't waste it trying to prove, argue, or defend. You use silence as currency, attention as leverage, and time as your filter. Those who truly value you will stay. Those who don't will fade. Mystery naturally filters the unworthy. The ones who demand access reveal their insecurity. The ones who respect distance reveal their understanding. That's how you identify quality, not through words but through reaction to your silence. Mystery, therefore, is not isolation. It is refinement. You are refining who can meet you at your level. Those who cannot tolerate uncertainty are not ready for your presence. Those who find peace in your quietness are the ones who can coexist with your depth. And that is the beauty of mystery. It is both weapon and compass. It protects your essence and guides you toward those who see beyond appearances. To sustain it, you must train emotional detachment like a muscle. Practice saying less, waiting longer, revealing slower. Let the world rush while you remain still. Stillness is the loudest form of power in an age of noise. It is what separates those who perform from those who rule. You are not mysterious because you hide. You are mysterious because you move differently. You do not seek to be understood. You seek to be remembered. The mysterious person leaves a trace, not an explanation. They leave questions, not confessions. They leave presence, not proof. That is what stays in the minds of others. Not what you said, but what you withheld. Because in the silence between what they think they know and what they never will, you become timeless. The more visible you become, the more discipline your mystery requires. Visibility is not the enemy. Attachment to visibility is. The moment you begin craving attention, your mystery dies. Because mystery cannot coexist with need. Need is exposure, and exposure kills allure. When you truly understand this, you realize that the mysterious person does not fight for relevance. They create meaning through scarcity. You become rare by withdrawing what others overuse. Your time, your words, your emotions. You learn to leave space between your appearances so people can feel your absence. You let silence do the speaking that words never could. In a world that begs for noise, your restraint becomes divine. But it is not easy. To stay mysterious while being watched is to resist your own ego's temptation to explain, to prove, to correct, to defend. It is to understand that every time you try to fix how someone perceives you, you hand them control over your narrative. Power belongs to those who remain unaffected by misinterpretation. You must train yourself to be misread without reaction. You must build the emotional armor that allows you to see your reputation distorted and remain calm, knowing that the truth of your essence does not depend on anyone's understanding. They will call you cold, distant, arrogant, detached. Let them. Those who misunderstand your silence are too fragile for your depth. The more they try to define you, the more you should withdraw. The mysterious person does not explain the painting. They let others interpret the colors, and because everyone projects their own emotions onto it, they see what they fear or desire most. You become their reflection. That is the secret of psychological control, to let others create the meaning while you remain still. You become the canvas of their imagination. They see strength, wisdom, danger, serenity, all of it depending on their own internal landscape. That's why you must never interrupt their illusion, never reveal what drives you, what hurts you, or what excites you. Let them wonder. Let them build stories around you. Those stories are energy that sustains your presence even in your absence. The more they talk about you, the less they know. The less they know, the more they think. And the more they think, the more you occupy their minds. That is the essence of power without movement. Mystery turns their curiosity into dependence. They become addicted to trying to understand you, to predict you, to get closer. But every time they reach for you, you shift slightly out of reach, not out of cruelty, but to maintain the tension that keeps the connection alive. Emotional distance is not punishment, it's architecture. You are designing the structure of their perception. You give just enough to keep them searching, but never enough to satisfy. You remain calm when they overreact, silent when they demand answers, unpredictable when they expect routine. Consistency in presence kills fascination. To stay mysterious, you must embrace fluidity. One day calm, another distant, another suddenly present. Not erratic, but deliberate. People should never know exactly how to access you. Predictability makes you replaceable. Uncertainty keeps you desirable. But your unpredictability must always appear effortless. The mysterious person never looks like they are trying to be mysterious. They simply are. The difference lies in intent. When your silence comes from insecurity, people sense fear. When it comes from mastery, people sense power. True mystery radiates quiet authority, not avoidance. It says, I could explain, but I choose not to. I could appear, but I choose to stay away. I could react, but I prefer control. Every choice is deliberate, every pause strategic, every disappearance meaningful. You are sculpting perception through absence. The more you practice this restraint, the more your energy changes. You no longer move to impress, you move to influence. You no longer seek to be liked, you seek to be remembered. You no longer talk to fill space, you speak to alter it. This level of control requires solitude, not isolation, but intentional withdrawal. You must spend time in silence to become comfortable with being misunderstood. You must sit in the quiet until it no longer feels like emptiness, but power. Because that is what mystery truly is. Peace that others cannot disturb. Your silence becomes heavy not because you force it, but because it's real. You've transcended the compulsion to explain yourself, and people can feel that liberation. They can sense the depth that doesn't need display. They can feel the strength that doesn't need defense. You must cultivate this energy carefully. It cannot be faked, only embodied. To stay mysterious under the gaze of others, you must understand the subtle dance between exposure and control. Every environment you enter is a stage of perception. People will analyze your words, your tone, your timing. Let them. You do not perform for them, you perform through them. Their reactions become your feedback, their fascination, your proof. The mysterious person uses every observation as energy to refine their presence. If they expect you to speak, stay silent longer. If they expect you to react, delay it. If they expect you to smile, observe instead. These micro-contradictions create psychological friction, and friction creates fascination. People are drawn to what challenges their expectations. You must become that challenge. Calm when they expect chaos, detached when they expect emotion, poised when they expect defense. Your composure must be your rebellion. That rebellion makes people uneasy, and unease breeds attention. They won't even know why they're drawn to you, only that they can't stop thinking about you. Because mystery activates imagination, and imagination is emotional. It keeps people connected to you long after you've left the room. To remain mysterious, you must never depend on explanation to sustain your image. You must let your actions and silence create the mythology around you. Every powerful figure throughout history understood this. They allowed the world to speculate while they remained detached from interpretation. The more people speculated, the larger their image grew. What you withhold becomes infinite in the eyes of others. To stay mysterious, you must learn to wield that infinity. Every absence becomes expansion. Every unanswered question becomes legend. But that level of restraint requires faith. Faith in your own value. Faith that you don't need constant visibility to remain significant. The moment you start chasing presence, you shrink into noise. Your strength lies in being willing to disappear, to vanish from the public eye, from conversations, from attention, and return when the silence has built enough hunger for your reappearance. This rhythm creates reverence. It teaches others that your presence is not to be expected, but earned. It teaches them that your energy is not accessible on demand. You become the exception in a world of availability, and people crave what they cannot have. But be careful. Mystery without depth is manipulation. You must have substance beneath the silence, or people will eventually sense the emptiness. Depth comes from purpose, from discipline, from understanding who you are when no one is watching. When your solitude strengthens you instead of breaking you, you become unbreakable. Because no gaze, no opinion, no misunderstanding can disturb your peace. That is the final layer of mystery, self-sufficiency. To stay mysterious even under scrutiny, you must no longer live reactively. You act according to your own internal rhythm. You make decisions from stillness, not impulse. You don't chase closure, you become it. You don't seek recognition. Your silence earns it for you. Every look you give, every word you withhold, every step you take communicates a quiet command. You cannot define me. And that is the energy that makes people hesitate before approaching, respect you without understanding why, and talk about you long after you've left. Because mystery at its core is not performance, it's emotional control disguised as calmness. When they watch you and still can't find your edges, that's when you've mastered it. You cannot stay mysterious if you still crave recognition. The desire to be seen is the greatest weakness of modern humanity. People have confused visibility with value, thinking that constant attention is proof of worth. But in truth, the more people see you, the less they remember you. Exposure breeds comfort. Comfort breeds dismissal. Mystery withers under the weight of overexposure, because curiosity dies when everything is explained. The mysterious person understands this and moves through the world with deliberate invisibility. You reveal yourself only in fragments, only when it serves a higher purpose. You let your silence sculpt the atmosphere before your presence enters. You understand that power does not come from being noticed, but from being felt. To stay mysterious while being watched, you must learn the art of invisible dominance, commanding attention without seeking it, influencing perception without controlling it, shaping the room through stillness rather than speech. The world is full of performers who mistake volume for significance. They talk, gesture, and announce their presence as if noise could replace depth. But the mysterious one knows that silence holds more gravity than sound. When you stop chasing acknowledgement, your aura changes. People start to feel something they can't explain when you walk in. They sense calm in your restraint, confidence in your quietness. They notice that you don't compete for attention. Attention bends toward you. They begin to realize that your mystery is not about secrecy, but about mastery. It's the mastery of emotion, of energy, of timing. It's the understanding that every reaction can be used against you, so you offer none. Every emotional outburst exposes you. Every unnecessary word dilutes you. You communicate through implication, through suggestion, through the subtle shift in tone that reveals nothing yet says everything. And those who observe you, those who try to read you, become trapped in their own assumptions. They project stories onto your silence because the mind cannot tolerate ambiguity. It needs meaning. And because you refuse to supply it, they create it themselves. That is your shield. Let them build illusions. Let them imagine your motives. Their imagination does more to protect your power than any defense could. Every false interpretation makes you harder to understand, and what cannot be understood cannot be controlled. This is the paradox of mystery. The more they study you, the deeper their confusion becomes. They think they are getting closer, yet every discovery only opens new questions. You must nurture this confusion carefully. It is your garden of power. Too much silence and you become irrelevant. Too much openness and you become predictable. The art lies in oscillation, a rhythm between revelation and withdrawal. You appear, you disappear, you reappear transformed. You allow the passage of time to alter your shape in their minds. You let the distance between encounters build imagination. When they finally see you again, they are seeing not you, but the image they've constructed in your absence. And that image is often larger, deeper, more powerful than the reality. That is the secret of influence, to let absence become amplification. The mysterious person knows that attention, when unmanaged, becomes poison. It feeds the ego and weakens the spirit. That is why you must stay rooted in detachment. Even as you are watched, even as eyes seek your reaction, you remain centered within yourself. Your focus is never outward, it is inward, calm, controlled, alert. You do not measure yourself by how they see you. You measure yourself by how little you need to respond. Silence is not passivity, it is decision. It is the decision to control the frame of perception. When they try to provoke emotion, you withhold it. When they demand explanation, you delay it. When they expect weakness, you show composure. This asymmetry creates psychological imbalance. They become emotionally invested while you remain emotionally free. And freedom in the game of power is everything. The mysterious person lives with emotional minimalism. You reveal only what is necessary, and even then it's deliberate. You express emotions like a strategist, not a victim. You understand timing, when to speak, when to disappear, when to return. This timing turns ordinary gestures into statements of strength. Your delayed response becomes power. Your absence becomes intrigue. Your calmness becomes intimidation. You never rush to fill silence because you know that silence makes people uncomfortable, and discomfort breeds curiosity. The more they try to fill your silence with meaning, the more you dominate their thoughts. This is how you remain mysterious even when under constant observation. You transform their gaze into your stage, their curiosity into your armor. The mysterious person never runs from being watched. They simply become unreadable under the light. Observation loses power when it cannot decode what it sees. This is why emotional neutrality is essential. When people look at you and cannot tell what you're feeling, they lose control. They cannot influence what they cannot read. And because you do not mirror their emotions, they start to question their own. You become a psychological void, a mirror that reflects their state of mind back at them. That's why mystery is so unnerving to people. It forces self-confrontation. When someone can't read you, they start to see themselves. Your silence exposes their noise. Your detachment exposes their need. Your composure exposes their chaos. This is why mysterious people are remembered. They awaken something uncomfortable yet magnetic. To sustain this effect, you must maintain a life that is internally rich but externally quiet. You cultivate private victories, silent achievements, invisible transformations. You never announce your growth. You let people feel it through your presence. Every time they meet you, they sense you've evolved, but they can't explain how. That is the essence of enigma. Constant evolution hidden behind calm. Never become static. Mystery requires movement, but movement without noise. You change without declaring it. You shift without warning. You grow without seeking applause. The less predictable your evolution, the stronger your mystique becomes. People crave certainty. You deny them that. You become a living contradiction, warm but distant, open yet unreadable, present yet elusive. You give just enough to create connection, then retreat before it becomes definition. That retreat teaches others your value. It reminds them that your presence is a privilege, not a guarantee. And those who feel your absence too strongly will begin to adjust their behavior to keep your presence. That is psychological leverage born from restraint. But mystery is not cruelty. It is not the cold withholding of affection. It is the disciplined protection of essence. You choose silence not to manipulate, but to preserve energy. You walk away not to punish, but to regain control of rhythm. You stay unreadable not to confuse, but to remain sovereign. Because once others can predict you, they can disarm you. Once they can explain you, they can replace you. Mystery is self-defense disguised as grace. It is your invisible armor in a world that feeds on exposure. To stay mysterious when watched, you must stop living reactively. You must detach from the approval economy of modern life. Stop explaining your choices. Stop clarifying your intentions. Stop apologizing for your silence. You owe no one access to your inner world. Your stillness is not arrogance, it's discipline. It's the refusal to trade your peace for attention. It's the understanding that power is not what you show but what you withhold. When you embrace this fully, your presence begins to carry a sacred weight. People speak differently around you. They lower their voices. They measure their words. They sense that they are in the company of someone who cannot be easily influenced. That shift in energy is respect disguised as curiosity. They won't always understand you, but they will never forget you, because mystery leaves an emotional fingerprint that logic cannot erase. It is not about being perfect. It is about being untouchable in your calm. When you can walk through noise without losing your stillness, you have already won. When they watch you and still cannot predict you, you have transcended them. And when you can disappear without explanation and return stronger, you have achieved the highest form of power, presence that does not depend on proximity. That is how you stay mysterious even under the world's constant gaze. You remain untamed, unbothered, and unseen in your essence, visible only to those capable of perceiving the silence between your words. At some point you will realize that mystery is not about others at all. It is not a performance for the world. It is an alignment with yourself. It is the quiet confidence that comes from knowing who you are when no one is watching, and remaining the same when everyone is. To stay mysterious while being observed is to master the art of internal stillness. The world will constantly tempt you to reveal more, to explain, to prove, to defend, to justify. Every voice around you will whisper that openness equals honesty, that silence is weakness, that being transparent is the only path to connection. But these are illusions designed to strip you of control. The more you expose, the more they consume. The more they consume, the less of you remains. You must protect the sacred boundary between your inner world and the outer gaze. This is not secrecy. It is sovereignty. You are not hiding. You are preserving. You are not distant. You are defined. Mystery is the natural state of anyone who has nothing to prove. It's the quiet power of the one who no longer needs to be seen to feel real. Once you internalize this, the opinions of others lose their grip. Whether they admire or misunderstand you, it makes no difference. You no longer perform for perception. You move from principle. You know that every explanation dilutes power. Every reaction weakens command. So you withdraw from the endless dialogue of validation. You speak less because your words are not for attention. They are for impact. You move slower because your timing is your control. You detach not out of coldness but out of wisdom. You have learned that people chase what eludes them, not what clings. They remember those who vanished, not those who begged to be seen. The mysterious person understands this law of emotional gravity. The harder you pull, the faster they run. The more you withdraw, the closer they lean. To stay mysterious when watched, You must live as if no gaze can define you. You must carry yourself like a secret the world will never fully uncover. Every action you take should come from internal command, not external reaction. Your silence is not emptiness, it's authority. Your detachment is not indifference, it's discernment. You decide who earns your words, who deserves your presence, who qualifies for your energy. Everyone else receives the polite distance of your calm. This is how you maintain power without speaking. You do not fight for respect. You embody it. You do not chase attention. You magnetize it. You do not demand understanding. You transcend it. When people watch you, they should sense something unshakable in your posture, something eternal in your restraint. They should feel that your calm is not a lack of emotion, but the mastery of it. They should sense that behind your quiet eyes lies a mind that measures everything and reveals nothing unnecessary. This is not arrogance, it is self-awareness, and it is rare. Most people cannot hold silence without anxiety. They cannot bear being misunderstood without defense. But you have trained yourself to stand in the void of misunderstanding and remain composed, because you understand that true influence is not about convincing, it is about existing. The mysterious person influences not through persuasion, but through presence. Your very existence becomes a form of education. You show others that peace is more powerful than approval, that stillness is louder than noise, that control of emotion is the highest form of dominance. You teach without teaching. You attract without effort. You inspire without confession. And those who sense your energy begin to crave the same composure within themselves. That is why mystery is not only power, it is transformation. It awakens something in those who witness it. It reveals their lack of control, their dependence on noise, their addiction to validation. You become the silent mirror that forces them to see what they avoid. Some will resent you for it, others will respect you deeply, but none will forget you. Because you are not just a person in their lives, you are an experience they cannot explain. That is the gift of mystery, to leave behind an imprint that words cannot define, to move through the world with such restraint that every glance, every silence, every delayed reaction becomes a riddle people spend years trying to solve. You don't need to prove intelligence, they feel it in your composure. You don't need to show confidence, they sense it in your pace. You don't need to claim power. Your silence declares it louder than speech ever could. But mystery must be sustained through awareness. You must know when to withdraw, when to appear, when to reveal, when to remain untouchable. You must control your digital presence with the same precision as your physical one. The mysterious person is intentional even online. They post rarely, speak selectively, never overshare. They understand that in the age of visibility, the rarest form of power is discretion. People can't respect what they can easily access. Every post, every image, every word must be deliberate, stripped of emotional leakage. You never reveal from impulse, only from strategy. You allow the world to see just enough to keep them guessing, and that guessing is what builds gravity. Curiosity sustains attraction, but remember, mystery is not an act. If it becomes performance, it collapses. It must be lived, not faked. It must arise naturally from your independence. It must flow from inner peace, not insecurity. Because people can sense authenticity. They can feel whether your silence is born of power or fear. You must make sure it's the former. True mystery comes from mastery. Mastery of mind, emotion, energy, and ego. Once you master those, no one can expose you. No one can manipulate you. No one can truly reach you without permission. You become both visible and untouchable, present and unknowable. You move through rooms with quiet gravity, speak with measured intent, disappear with elegance. You live in such a way that your absence haunts more than your presence comforts. That is the paradox of mystery, to make them feel you more deeply when you're gone than when you're near. And when you can do that, you no longer chase power, you become it. Because mystery in its highest form is not an illusion, it is awareness. It is the consciousness that your life is your own, that no gaze can possess your essence, that no explanation can capture your depth. The mysterious person knows this truth and moves through life as a silent storm, calm, contained. yet capable of changing everything without a sound. That is why those who watch you will never truly understand you. They will see the surface, but never touch the current beneath. They will sense the depth, but never reach the bottom. You will remain an unanswered question in their minds, the kind that keeps them awake, wondering what lies behind the silence. And that is the final victory, to be remembered not for what you said, but for what you refuse to reveal. Silence is not absence, it is dominance, and mystery is not withdrawal. It is protection of essence. So when they watch you, let them. When they talk, let them. When they assume, let them. You are not here to be understood, you are here to be felt. That is your quiet advantage, your invisible crown. Because in a world addicted to noise, those who can remain unseen within their own presence are the ones who hold the true power. Silence is not the absence of power, it is the proof of it. Subscribe, because real power doesn't shout, it whispers.